GoForThe2.com in with the Week 14 predictions. Again, apologies for the short video. My schedule's just been very hectic this holiday season, but you can catch me Saturday, December 5th for 7 straight hours. It starts with college football today, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Eastern, SportsGrid Network, SportsGrid.com, or MSG Plus, MSG Networks in your local cable providers, so check it out. Then once the games kick off at 12 o'clock, I take you straight through 5 o'clock for the 3:30 kicks as well, straight through halftime. We go through all the in-game analysis on the field as well as the in-game wagering perspective. So check it out this coming Saturday, sportsgrid.com or MSG Plus. Check your local cable provider. We go through the under-the-radar games. I give you the best bets that are on this video. I give you first half selections in terms of gridiron gems. We have great guests. We really cover a lot. Even the fantasy prop perspective, we go through it at the end of the show. So really a lot of content in 2 straight hours of college football today, and then just loads of content when in-game live kicks off for 5 straight hours. We're talking about every line movement that we could possibly get in terms of the show. So check it out this coming Saturday. The video is only going to be 5 picks. One in the ACC takes place in Charlottesville, Virginia, laying 6.5 over Boston College. Virginia was supposed to play Florida State last week. That game got canceled. So this is an extra week of preparation for the Cavaliers, not banged up in this matchup, staying at home. And now here comes Boston College. A hot Boston College team picked up their 6th win of the year, a quality win against Malik Cunningham and the crew. Offensively, Jurkovec stepped up. When he got hurt, Grosso came in, led the team on 2 scoring drives. That defense, critical turnover on the last drive of the game to seal the deal, 34-27. Now they go on the road to face a very disciplined Virginia defense. This is a defense led by Charles Snowden that does have 28 total sacks, is holding opposing offenses to 39% on third down conversions, and is giving up 256 passing yards per game. But I like the matchup for Virginia. This is a disciplined team under Bronco Mendenhall. They're rarely out of position. I think they can hold their own against Boston College. Keep in mind, Boston College still, to this point, hasn't defeated a team with a winning record, struggle against some of the more disciplined defenses on their schedule, and I think they could struggle on the road here. I don't like the fact that they're still not running the football effectively. That's putting them in the long third down situations. And when you look at the last 2 games for Boston College, 36% against Notre Dame, 33% against Louisville, and that's not a dominant defense by the Cardinals in any capacity last weekend, and this offense is still struggling on third downs heading into this matchup with Virginia. I think Virginia starts fast. I think they can sack Jurkovec or Grosso, whoever starts, get in his face, force interceptions in this matchup. I think it could be a very close game for 3 quarters. In the end, I do feel that Virginia picks up about a 10-point win over Boston College this coming Saturday. Other matchup takes place in Baton Rouge. It's Alabama on the road laying a huge number against LSU. LSU, I thought, played very well defensively against Kellen Mond and Texas A&M. Critical turnover by TJ Finley really sealed the deal. Game should have really been 13-7. I think if I'm Eddie O, I give the start to Max Johnson in this matchup. He looked more prepared. He looked like he was calm and confident in the pocket, and that's going to be a recipe to be in this ball game from an offensive perspective. Big loss for LSU. Terrence Marshall has opted out. That's going to put a lot of pressure on those other wide receivers. But this is a very difficult spot for Alabama. Again, they are clearly the better team heading into this matchup, but this is back-to-back rivalry games for the Alabama Crimson Tide. They go on the road Saturday night in Death Valley. This is LSU's Super Bowl per se. They got this victory last year. Alabama's going to want to dominate, but I think LSU can slow down the tempo. You look at Auburn last week, they rushed for 128 yards, mostly in the second half. I know it was in blowout material. Bo Nix did not step up. They got blown out in terms of the interior in that matchup. but LSU's defense is playing much better. And the biggest thing that I saw in terms of LSU's progression was the last 2 weeks, third downs. They're holding Arkansas, and last week against Texas A&M, 2 of 26 in terms of third down conversions. That's enough to get the cover for me. I think they can run the football, slow down the tempo, keep Mac Jones on the sidelines. The offensive line can pound and sustain drives with a young quarterback. I don't expect LSU to win this game in any capacity, but 4 touchdowns plus in a rivalry game at home, LSU covers this ball game. We'll get into it deeper on college football today, this coming Saturday. Another big battle takes place in Ames. That was a quality win by Brock Purdy and the crew. I thought Texas would win that matchup, dominated for 3.5 quarters. Last 2 drives of the game, Brock Purdy leads his team down and seals the deal with a victory. The biggest thing for me is that when you looked at that victory, Iowa State struggled early on running the football with Breece Hall, but when they needed to make plays, Charlie Kohler stepped up. Xavier Hutchinson stepped up. Breece Hall stepped up. Their playmakers found a way to get it done on the road, and that was a disappointing loss by Tom Herman. I mean, just terrible play calling. He laid up like Tin Cup. Tom Herman as a favorite is just horrible when you think about it. I mean, the 4th and 1 play inside the 20-yard line should have went to B. John Johnson, who was dominating the game at the point of attack most of the game. The offensive line was working. You run Sam Ehlinger into the line of scrimmage. Doesn't even reach the ball out. Doesn't even sell his body to get the first down. Terrible, terrible play call on 4th down, and then the fake punt. Early on in the 4th quarter, run on 1st down, run on 2nd down, pass on 3rd down, short, and then you fake the punt. Terrible play call by Tom Herman, and they deserve to lose because he wasn't aggressive in the second half of that matchup. Now here comes West Virginia. Iowa State's won 2 straight in the series. They won this matchup in dominating fashion by 18 points last year. They've won the last 2 by 20 points per game. But West Virginia, again, coming off an extra week of preparation. They did not play last week against Oklahoma. This is a very solid front 7 in the Mountaineers, only giving up 112 rushing yards per game. What's the strength of Iowa State right now? It's the rushing attack with Breece Hall. This team does have 22 total sacks, holding opposing offenses to 38% in terms of third down conversions. I like that recipe. Jared Dagey playing still well within the system. 13 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. This is a difficult spot for Brock Purdy and the crew. They got an emotional road win. They come back home to face another blue-collar team in West Virginia, an up-and-coming team with Neil Brown. I think they're in this ballgame from start to finish. I'm calling for the upset. West Virginia outright over Iowa State. Love what Brock Purdy's done. Love what Matt Campbell's done. Think this is a bad spot for the Cyclones at home, even though they're eyeing the Big 12 championship game in the coming weeks. On the flip side, let's go to Manhattan, Kansas. I mean, Kansas State got a gutty first half victory in terms of that matchup. They dominated for 2 quarters. In the second half, though, it was all Charlie Brewer and Baylor. I mean, unbelievable chain of events. I mean, they dominated for basically a half, and then Kansas State just allowed that victory to slip. Charlie Brewer led his team back. Snead stepped up in terms of the passing attack. This offense for Kansas State is handcuffed right now with Will Howard. Skylar Thompson was a much better quarterback, a much better play-action quarterback than Will Howard. Last 2 games for Kansas State, 76 passing yards, 88 passing yards respectively. That's not going to get it done in this matchup against Texas. Now, I don't love Texas, but this is a fishy line when you think about it. Texas has won the last 3 games by an average margin of victory of only 4.6 points per game. They won this victory last year 27-24. Caden Stearns for Texas left the ball club. The mentality of Texas, Tom Herman as a favorite, is out the door. They have nothing to play for. Their Big 12 hopes are not alive. Well, then why is the line 9.5, 10? The line opened up at 9. It's basically a divergence, what I like to say, an old trading term. The line moves up when the public sentiment's on the other side. Something's up. Same type of line movement, and I should have recognized it last week with Michigan. Line opens up at 4. A majority of the public's on Michigan, but yet the line gets bet down from 4 to pick 'em. Something's up. That's fishy. I'm going with Texas here. I think they have the speed on the perimeter to challenge K-State's secondary over the top. K-State usually struggles with speed teams. I think Texas covers this number. Somehow, some way, they have the better quarterback in Sam Ehlinger. 23 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, a huge number to lay. But I think Texas can run the football at will. They're only giving up as well 118 rushing yards per game. That is the strength of Kansas State. If they can't run the football, they're going to be put into long, predictable third down situations. I still like the second and third teamers of Texas over Kansas State, not to take away what Chris Klieman has done in the program. Final game, Georgia Tech on the road against NC State and Bailey Hockman. NC State struggled with Syracuse last week. They found a way to win that victory and get that win by 13 points. Now here comes Georgia Tech, dominating victory over Duke. They rushed for 377 yards in that matchup, held Duke to only 68 rushing yards per game. Sims playing very well, 11 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. He's a freshman. Let's keep that in mind. Second year under Jeff Collins, the kids aren't quitting. I love Gibbs, the running back. He also can catch the football out of the backfield. 24 receptions on the year, over 300 receiving yards. I love Camp as well. I think they can move the football. Georgia Tech is a blue-collar team. They're getting 7.5 in this matchup. I think they're in this matchup from start to finish. I think they force turnovers on the road. NC State has played an emotional string of games coming off a road game back home in Raleigh. I think Georgia Tech can pull off the upset this coming Saturday. Stay with me all season long. I'll see you on Saturday. College football today at 10 a.m. Eastern. Have a great week, everyone.